Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Yes, we are on the free-to-play. I've got my coffee right here. Not as descriptive a mug as usual, but it is doing the job for me. And we're on the road to Hydra. And we're about 3 months into our account. We're past day 90 now. Obviously, I've been working on the fusion, so I'm not 100% on the day right now. But I figured it's a good time for a 3-month review and kind of see where the account is at right now, what I'm capable of, you know, where my champions are at, what my plans are going forward and stuff like that. And as you can see, we just finished a run on Clan Boss, and I figured this is a great spot to start, right? We began this as a road to Ultra Nightmare. We got there incredibly fast, way quicker than I was actually expecting. But you know, we're doing, I would say this is a pretty average run for me, about 30 million. I would say most of the time we're actually doing over 30 million in damage, but it's about this in this kind of a range here. And you can see, like, as my count goes, we're doing about 60 million after 2 keys. Usually it's a little closer to 66 actually. We're doing pretty decent. But we're still a 3-key team, which is, it's very good. It's very good, but I would really like to get to 2-key, because what ends up happening is I can usually 1-key Nightmare, but sometimes I can't, and it's very affinity dependent. So I'd like to be able to, you know, take that down a little bit better. Now on Hydra, I did my run yesterday. I did about 3 million damage, which is pretty significant. Obviously, whatever the, you know, the group was, that was definitely good for me. So we're moving forward on Hydra, and I would definitely like to continue to grow there. Obviously, we want to get that top chest. We're not there just yet, but that is somewhere I'd like to get to eventually. So we're kind of growing in that vein, right? I haven't gotten any, you know, crazy blessings since we've, you know, leveled up Rhonda basically. So it's still kind of just a slow growth period, I suppose you'd say. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one that comes out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that SoundStripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, and you can use code DeadwoodJedi to save 15%. But yeah, you can see today is day 93, so that's kind of where we're at right now. And that's kind of where that is. Now, as far as my account goes, you can see I am full in on this fusion, guys, and we're getting there. I've got my extra epic from the summon event. I say extra, it's going to be the only one, because I'm not planning on doing the champion chase, and I'm probably not going to be doing any of the other events. But you can see here we've got 7 of these rare champions. That's at least 1 more Delaja. We're going to be getting another one of these hopefully pretty soon, so that'll be our, you know, a 3rd, and then we just need 4 more rare. So we're pretty close. I basically have 5 more events that I need to do, and that's it, which is pretty remarkable. Like, we were definitely on a good way, and I wasn't expecting to be here. Honestly, with the free to play, I wasn't sure I'd be able to do it. On top of that, you can see I've got all my food ready to go, even, you know, marked out for ranking up these champions. So I honestly feel like I'm in an extremely good spot right now as far as the fusion goes, and that's not something I was expecting. But what's really cool is that obviously my last poll session ended up turning out really well. I got a lot of really good champions out of it. Specifically, I got Royal Guard, who's absolutely insanely good. And when we talk about the growth into Hydra, this is going to be a ridiculous champion, because he's going to obviously let us do some really big damage against the bosses there. Especially when we're talking about the lower levels, like normal Hydra, right? This is going to be really helpful. I did build him with a little bit of accuracy. He does bring a lot of good stuff, right? Decreased defense, decreased speed. But obviously his max HP hit is the big one. And so I try to build him up pretty decently with kind of leftover gear, right? 5-star crit damage gloves, I don't usually like, but you know, the set kind of worked out the crit rate, the accuracy. I was like, okay. You know, I got him with some defensive chest piece, which is probably less than ideal because his defense base is real low. HP would be better, but basically, you know, I have him built decently out so that hopefully I can bring him into my team and he'll be effective. But that's not the only champion I got. Actually, the real prize was getting Molly Tankard here, who I think is just absolutely insanely good, right? She's an insanely good champion. And a lot of people in my shard poll video were like, she's so good. She's like S tier for Hydra and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. calm down, guys. I get it. She's very good. I knew this when I pulled her. I was like, oh, this is going to be a really good Hydra champion, obviously, right? She brings a lot of good stuff to the kit. She brings in Provoke, which is really nice on a 3-turn cooldown and has the potential of being a 2-turn duration. That's not too shabby, right? She has a Revive, which is always valuable. Her A1 actually has solid multipliers as well. And, you know, if I can get HP burn on my team, it'll do even more damage. And then on top of that, the passive ability that just fills turn meter a bunch is really, really effective. So I'm very well aware that she's going to be an excellent champion for me for Hydra. So I'm really excited about that. She's also going to be really helpful for me in just arena. I can definitely use another champion like this, especially when we start talking about the real-time arena, which I know some people are yay, some people are nay. Doesn't matter. The fact is, this is another really good option for me to bring in there. And I think would pair really well with Elva, right? Especially most of my champions are, I don't know if I really would have a go first type of team here. So when you're talking about going second, having someone that give you passive turn meter boost is actually really helpful. Plus another reviver, which is a really good champion all around. So I have more than a few champions to build up. We did get a Rosin and I was real disappointed, but primarily not because Rosin's bad. Rosin's actually fantastic and will be good for most areas of this game, right? He's got some buff strip on the A1, got decreased defense and weaken on the A2. He's got a turn meter decrease on the A3. The big issue is just that I should be able to fuse this champion. So it's kind of unnecessary. If I was going to get a legendary, I'd like somebody that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise. And that's really where the disappointment came from. But he's still very good. I've still got Black Knight here. He's got a nice provoke on the A1. He's got increased defense, continuous heal, basically on a 2-turn cooldown, which is insane. The A3 can hit decently hard, and then the passive makes him unkillable. He's a really solid champion for a lot of this game. And this actually might be somebody that I bring in for something like Hydra instead of Jareg. I think there's a little bit more utility here. The ally protection being on a 4-turn cooldown with Jareg doesn't play as well with Hydra as I'd like. It's just not up enough to really validate that. Whereas Black Knight, I can keep increased defense up, I can keep continuous heal up, and considering the level of my champions, how they're all pretty, you know, I mean, relatively high level, but you know, it's relative, right? Generally, I can use that increased defense buff a little bit more there. So that might be more advantageous for me. But also, this gives me the opportunity to actually have a second Hydra team, which would be really nice too. So we've got some really solid options, I think, working around here. I'm very happy with Molly. I'm very happy with Black Knight. Royal Guard is a real coup. So we've got some really good champions to build up. Once I get Razzlevarg in the mix as well, now we're going to have a plethora of options as far as, you know, ways to build these champions and, you know, teams I can put together. And I'm actually really, really excited about that. This is going to be, I think, really, really positive for us as far as moving on Hydra. Right now, my personal, like what I'm thinking about at the moment as far as like a proper Hydra team, what I think we're going to be doing is we'll have, we'll bring him out, bring that out. I think it's going to be something along these lines. So we'd be talking about Rhonda. Actually, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I might as well go to the section that has Hydra in it, right? I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. We can do it on normal here. Yeah, please. We're not actually going to build it. We're just going to put it together. So the kind of team that I'd be thinking about would be something along the lines of this. I think it would be something like this, right? This might be the idea of a team that I'd be running. And actually, because if we brought him in, probably wouldn't need that with Molly. Then we'd be talking about maybe, probably Rhonda actually. This would be kind of like the team I'd be thinking about, right? Keep our, you know, cleanse and our increased speed here. We have our turn meter and provoke with Molly, an alternate provoke with Black Knight and protection. We've got 2 damage dealers in both Rhonda and Royal Guard. And then of course we got block buffs there with Ugo. Like this is kind of a pretty solid team right there, right? Definitely a solid squad. And then alternatively, right, we can go with, you know, and the other thing too, I suppose I should put this out there. The other thing too is I can always bring in Razzlevarg for one of these champions as well. So, you know, maybe I bring in Razzlevarg instead of Rhonda here, right, as another damage dealer. I think that's actually a legitimate option there as a potential way to go about doing things. But then, you know, as far as like a secondary team, we're talking about, I'd probably take Deliana there, right? Put her in a lead, bring in Jareg, have Jizzo, So we got our provoke champion stuff, maybe a venom mage for some damage reduction. We got Deacon there for the AoE decreased defense. And then I don't even know who else would bring in. Well, and then somebody else would be the other bring in person, right? But this is the kind of team where I'd be like, oh yeah, this could work pretty decently for us, right? And so some potential there with that. And then yeah, obviously just bringing in a 6th champion. But now all of a sudden I have 2 teams instead of just one. And that is definitely a positive turn of events, right? I'd probably want to bring in another damage dealer since I don't really have any in the squad, and that would be the negative here, right? So maybe we bring in Elhain, or we bring in Kale, somebody else to kind of help out. Maybe even Genbo would be a solid option there. But that's kind of the idea as far as like approaches go with this, and what I would plan on doing here. But I like this A team. I feel like there's some real solid potential here. And I mean, that's my personal suggestion too. When you're building Hydra, especially early on, you don't have a lot of champions to choose from. Build your A team. Get that going, right? Focus on your main champions. This is always kind of the idea. Focus on your main champions, and then you start to branch out once that team is built and optimal. But obviously I have a lot to rank up, right? I mean, 4 of these champions are still rank 5. So I've got a lot of champions to rank up. I need to get more food. I need to kind of continue to grind that. What I was really impressed about though, doing this Razzlevarg fusion, the rabbit fusion, is I've hardly used any of my gems. I still have almost 1,000 gems at my disposal. So when it comes down to doing the spider tournament, the dragon tournament, Fire Knight tournament, I'm going to have the gems there to be able to refill my energy bar. And that's going to be a big thing, because obviously I need to spend the energy to get the results that I need. Dragon was the easiest because I can actually do stage 10 hard. But the other ones are going to be a little bit more difficult. Can't do the hard stages. I'm still like working on stage 20 when it comes to Fire Knight and Spider specifically. Ice Golem, I can do, I think, stage 20 as well. I think I'm pretty much stuck there as well. That's what I was doing when that tournament was up. So that tournament proved to be a little bit harder. The lower the drops, right? When you're getting more 5 stars as opposed to 6 star, you get less points for those tournaments. So obviously doing the higher stages becomes a little bit easier. So obviously those are going to cost me a little bit, right? We still have to do, I think an artifact enhancement event, but I have a few events left that I'm going to have to kind of grind down and get ready to, to do. Basically, I need 5 more events, and that's kind of the, the pro and the con is there's 5 events I still have to do. I have to figure out which ones I want to do, right? So I can do a champion training event. It's not a bad thing. I still need to kind of grind more food. That's not a bad way to go. So I want to look at the numbers on that. Dungeon Divers makes sense, especially if I'm going to do the Fire Knight tournament and the Spider tournament in conjunction with that. This Dungeon Dive, it looks like the Dungeon Divers are split though, and that actually looks like that's kind of lame. So I could probably do the champion training, Dungeon Diver and Fire Knight, and then do probably either classic arena, artifact enhancement, Spider, Dungeon Diver. So I have a few options here as far as like ways I want to finish it out, but I only need 5 of these events. So that's kind of that's the bonus part, is I don't have to do them all, and that's going to be a big help to getting this fusion done. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at 3 months in. The Great Hall hasn't really improved all that much. I'm still kind of here in this basic stage. I haven't focused on the missions, which may, you see, I mean, this is one of the things, right? I still have to get my Great Hall going up. So this is one of the things, is like focusing on the missions would be nice, because my next step on the missions is getting Arbiter, and Arbiter would be a huge bonus to my team, to be sure. She's an amazing champion, and I could definitely use her in arena and actually potentially start going first in some ways, right? So that would definitely be a big coup if I could get that, but I'm not focused on that as much right now, right? Like I can do all the stuff in this game. I just beat Doom Tower normal, which was really cool in this rotation, right? So I actually went pretty decently far on the hard, but Doom Tower normal, we finished that, so I get to try and work on some secret rooms now that I have like a week or so left, and see how far I can push myself up Doom Tower hard. It's kind of the goal there. But it's just, it's just kind of progressing every day, trying to do those little bits, and trying to kind of grow the account a little bit at a time. is where we're at. So 3 months in, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Feeling pretty good. We can start getting this Hydra team, you know, to that next stage. All of a sudden we're going to be in a pretty good spot, and that's kind of where I want to get to here. So right now I feel like the progression on this account is definitely showing some really good signs, and so I'm feeling very good, feel very confident. And I feel like the next couple of rotations I can start pushing Doom Tower hard a little bit more than I have been. You know, I know a few people mentioned that actually Annabelle's really good for Bommel, so that's an option. I haven't had any struggles on normal, but when we get to the hard difficulty, that'll be a nice person to bring in and hopefully help out with that. So feel like there's definitely some positives available here for us, and we'll, you know, make some progress as we go along. But yeah, so far feeling very good about the team, feeling very confident about it. The biggest thing is actually just ranking up more champions. I've got more champions now than I can comfortably use, so I need to like start ranking them up so that I can use them comfortably, start really gearing them out, and start exploring some harder content within the game. And so that's kind of the next steps. Yeah, nothing groundbreaking, but that's where we're at. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully your free to plays are doing as good as mine. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.